Welcome back to Life in the 1900s newspapers. Today, we're in 1903. The newspaper we will be reading together in a moment has a lot of articles about train accidents. That got me thinking of a famous train accident that involved Old 97. It was a Southern Railway mail train, and it came off the rails on September 27, 1903. It was on its way from Monroe, Virginia to Spencer, North Carolina, and being a mail train, it had to be on time. Yet, it was already an hour late. So, the engineer Joseph Brody, feeling the pressure of time, was going way too fast when it reached the steel house trestle. There were 18 on board, and it killed 11 and injured 7. Brody was one of the fatalities. It was a 10-wheeler 460 engine. When it derailed, it went down into the ravine 45 feet below and then burst into flames. The Southern Railway blamed Brody for going too fast, yet the Southern Railway also was to blame by making its drivers be on time for the mail drops. In the 1920s, a song was written about Old 97, and you can hear that if you stay tuned to the end of this video. And you will also see a photo montage of other 1900s train wrecks. But right now, it's time to call together the whole damn family and read our paper. I couldn't resist this 1905 film about the Dam family. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, dated Wednesday morning, September 23, 1903.
Watching the trains come in, watching the trains go out.
Let's start with a minor railroad accident. Head cut severely. Charles Hall of Carlisle met with a painful accident on Thursday. Hall, in company with several other colored gentlemen, were passengers on the Reading train due here at 1:55 p.m. He and his companions were having a jovial time together when one of the party gave Hall a friendly push. He lost his balance, and his head struck the window, his head going through the glass. He was severely cut and bled profusely. On reaching this place, he went to Dr. J.B. Scott's office and had the doctor sew up the wound, 3 stitches being required. Lamp explodes on train. By the exploding of a lamp on the York accommodation in the Northern Central Railway, several people were injured as the train drew into the station at Cockeyesville Monday evening, among whom was George F. Young of this place, who was slightly injured. Mr. Young was in the car in front of the one in which the lamp exploded, and realizing what had happened, he immediately pulled the rope and brought the train to a standstill. There was a deal of excitement among the passengers, especially when it was discovered that the car had caught fire. There was a rush to escape, and some took the windows for this. Several of the passengers were severely burned and otherwise injured. The car was well filled with passengers. For a black hero, $5,000. For an act of bravery and kindness performed during the Civil War, Daniel Prime, a well-known colored man, has been bequeathed $5,000 by the late Jonathan Moore of Jackson, Michigan, whom he befriended. Prime was sergeant in Company H, 54th Regiment, Massachusetts Colored Volunteers, and Moore was a first lieutenant in the 11th Michigan Volunteers. Both regiments participated in the recapture of Fort Sumpter. Lieutenant Moore had one of his legs shattered and lay bleeding to death when Prime tore his blouse to pieces, tightly bound the injured leg, and then carried the helpless lieutenant to a place of safety. Nothing more was thought of the affair until Prime received a letter on Monday telling him of his good fortune. President likely to be here. President Roosevelt, in a letter to General Horatio T. King of Brooklyn, Secretary of the Medal of Honor Legion, explained his absence from the meeting of the Legion here last week by saying that he expects to come here next Memorial Day to deliver the oration for the National Cemetery. From this, it seems certain that our chief executive will be in Gettysburg on May 30th, 1904. Railroaders arrested for theft. Detective Harry White of Harrisburg added to his laurels Monday night when he arrested George Fenstermacher, William Longnecker, and Terry Wolfe, employed on the night shift crew at Union Station. In making these arrests, Detective White has rounded up a gang that is alleged to have been working for the past 18 months, in which time hundreds of dollars worth of goods have been stolen from the Adams Express Company. So cleverly was these thefts carried out that it was impossible for the Pennsylvania Railroad officers to locate the thieves. Secret Servicemen were sent there from Philadelphia and elsewhere and worked for many months, and they finally caught them. In 1903, automobiles were on the road, and they were considered a nuisance. Listen to these automobile laws. Automobiles passing along the main roads are a daily occurrence, and as very few people are familiar with the law regarding automobiles, we print a synopsis of it below. No person is allowed to operate a machine at a greater speed than 8 miles per hour in any borough or city, or outside not more than 1 mile in 3 minutes, or upon curves or inclines, or upon the approach of a person or team, or at the intersection of any crossroad, no more than 1 mile in 6 minutes. Every machine shall be provided with a good and effective brake and also a bell, horn, or other signal advice, and shall also carry from 1 hour after sunset to 1 hour before sunrise 2 lighted lamps showing white lights visible at least 100 feet in front and 1 red light in the rear of said machine, and shall sound a gong or other alarm when approaching any street or road crossing, and shall stop if signaled to do so by the driver of any horse or other animal has passed. Any person using a motor vehicle on violation of this act, in addition to civil damages, shall be deemed guilty of a misdemeanor, and upon conviction for each offense shall be sentenced to pay a fine not exceeding $100, or to undergo imprisonment in the county jail not to exceed 30 days. John Manfuso, an Italian fruit dealer, was killed, and Dominic Sala severely injured at Mount Hope by being struck by the limited express train between York and Baltimore, in charge of conductor Rufus C. Sheets, Wednesday morning. The Italians were driving across the track when the train struck them. Manfuso was thrown about 70 feet, and nearly every bone in his body was broken, and the horse was cut to pieces. Terrible wreck. The most terrible accident, it is said, that ever occurred on the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad left its harvest of death and ruin 2 miles from Dawson Station Wednesday evening, when 63 persons, it is estimated, were killed outright, and many more injured, and 20 so badly burned that there is little hope for their recovery. If you'd like to hear more about news of old trains, check out my second channel, Life in the 1800s Newspapers, where it also features many stories about trains. Now is the time you've been waiting for to listen to the song about old